ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay, any questions, clarifications on what we saw last time? Various examples to show the self is untouched by what is happening. Any clarifications or is all clear?
Yes, Swamiji.
Clear? Okay. Then he is continuing the same topic. Okay. A few more examples. We'll see the examples and then come back and look at the whole thing. Okay. यथा लीलावशात् कश्चित् भ्राम्यमानः कुमारकः भ्रमतत् पश्यति जगत् शतचन्द्रं नभस्थलं तथैव मायया जीवः भ्रामितो वासनावशात् नानाकारमिदं विश्वं भ्रममानं च पश्यति. Yatha, he says, how? Leelavashat, as in a play, as in a just childish play. Kumaraka, a young boy, young child. Kaschit Brahmyamanaha. He is whirling and round and round and round. Okay? He's whirling round. Whirling round, whirling round. As kids in play, as we have also as kids done. Then what happens when he stops? Brahma tat pashyati jagat. He sees the world is going around and round. And Shata Chandram Nabastala. And if he is looking at the moon is also all over. Hundreds of moons are there. Something that we have all experienced in childhood. Okay? Or if you have some vertigo, etc. Okay, even in adulthood. Okay. Says Tathayeva Mayaya Jivaha. In the same way, because of Maya, the Jiva, Brahmitaha Vasana Vashat. Because of Vasana, this Brahmanam, he is also roving around. Nana Akaram Idam Vishwam. And he sees the Vishwam as many forms. Brahmaya Manam cha Pashyati, and turning round and round and round. The wheels of karma are going. Okay. Now the thing is very simple. Just an example to illustrate how the child whirling round and round and round, and when he stops, he sees the whole world in motion. What is motion is in his head, because whatever that fluid balance etc. has gone off, medical reasons you all can find, or because of all that he sees the whole world is going around. Motion here is projected out there. Similarly, he says, what is there is only one all-pervading reality, one consciousness alone. But Nana Akaramidam, he sees it as manifold. And he uses a term here which we have never come across this term before, Vasana Vashat. Very few writers have used this word Vasana. Now, the Sanskrit meaning of the word Vasana and the colloquial meaning is different. The vernacular meaning of the word Vasana generally stands for passion, sexual passion. Okay. Here, the term Vasana is sometimes interchanged with samskaras, deep-seated impressions. Deep-seated impressions. Generally, the term the Shastra will use is samskara, not vasana. Very rarely it uses the word, because it creates other connotations which we don't want to go into. A deep-seated impression. Even if you are using the word vasana, understand this as a deep-seated impression. So, I am born in this life, and because of the deep-seated impressions of my previous life, I take the world as real. Everything is separate, manifold, not one, non-dual. So where did that impression to interpret the world like this come from? My previous life. Where did that come from? Previous life. Where did it all start? Didn't have a beginning. because it started with avidya. Avidya has got no beginning. That means what? That vasana term is an upalakshana for avidya. It is not meant to be literally understood as a vasana. It's a term meant to indicate avidya. Therefore, avidya vashat. Because of the avidya, you have this adhyasa. The adhyasa that the world is manifold, the world is real, the world is all set into motion. I suffer from karma phalam, all that. Whereas really speaking, what I am, that all-pervading, limitless consciousness, untouched by anything. So the motion of the mind, the problems of the mind is imposed on the reality. Okay? The movement of the mind, the conclusions of the mind, the conceptualization of the mind, all that is imposed on the reality. Simple example, very straightforward, very direct, nothing much. Okay? Just highlighting certain things. संसृज्य मानसं देवः संसारात् इव लक्ष्यते यथा अर्कं जलसंसर्गात् चलनानेव लक्ष्यते. मानस संसृज्यम, because of the contact with the mind, devaha, the consciousness, samsaram iva lakshate, appears as a samsaran. Okay, the consciousness appears as a samsaran because of the contact with the mind. Yataha arkaha jala samsargad. This is an example. The sun, because it is reflected in the water, chalana neva lakshati, it seems to be trembling. Because the water is trembling, the sun seems to be trembling. It's a reflection only. Now it's important to see here, even in the example, does the sun really have any contact with the water? No, it's only a reflection. Similarly, consciousness is supposed to be asangaha, untouched by anything. How can it have any contact with the mind? Really speaking, it cannot have any contact with the mind. Therefore, any contact with the mind is purely by adhyasa alone. We have seen this very clearly in Adhyasa Bhashya. Very clearly. And an Adhyasa Sambandha is not a problem. Because there is no real Sambandha. Okay? There is no real Sambandha there. It's only an Adhyasa Sambandha. Therefore, the connection with the mind and the Atma is pure Adhyasa Sambandha. And that is good enough to make the Atma, the consciousness, appear as a finite samsari. Really speaking, there is no samsara. Where is samsara? There is no samsara. But there is a samsari, there is a guy who feels finite, limited, having existential issues, purposelessness, isolation, loneliness, etc. Although isolation seems to be a value now. But remember that isolation is used in a different sense from the way we are using it. Their social isolation is a physical act of distancing from people. When we are using the word, the thing is purely emotional in nature, conceptual and emotional in nature. That's why I always say, you can feel isolated in the midst of company because nobody understands you. And if nobody understands you, you feel isolated. That's emotional. You can be right with the people who was your family, but you can still feel isolated because emotional in nature. And that emotional isolation is a problem. Physical isolation was the problem. No issues. There is a problem. Some practical issues to be dealt with. That's all. Yeah. In physical isolation, what is the practical issue? Maid doesn't turn up, you have to do all the work. That's all. I mean, that's all there is there. In Bombay, maids work in half a dozen houses. You have to work in one house. Big deal. Okay, big deal. So that is all that is there. There are some practical issues. But the emotional isolation that happens, that is samsaritva. Because that breeds loneliness. That breeds loneliness. Finitude and a host of problems along with that. Purposelessness, etc. Which is purely what is known as samsara. Though technically samsara is always presented as birth and death. And freedom from birth and death is presented as moksha. That's only to indicate two events in your life where you have no control over. And therefore a sense of helplessness that every samsari feels. All samsaris feel vulnerable and helpless at some point or the other. Because the underlying state is that. Therefore, to highlight that birth and death, you have no control over either. You have no control over either. Because of that, to indicate your lack of control, your helplessness, the term is used as freedom from birth and death. And to indicate freedom from karma, etc. So, therefore, these terms are used. Otherwise, it's the samsaritvam that's a problem. And here, he says, samsaritvam is purely adhyastam. Purely adhyastam on the Atma. Not really there. And for that example is the sun being reflected. Similarly, he has said, because of contact with the mind. Because no real contact is possible. We have seen that in the very introduction of the Adhyasa Bhasha as a Purvapaksha itself. Nor other than Adhyasa Sambandha, there is no Sambandha possible between Atma and mind. You all remember the 3 types of Sambandha that Tadatmyam that creates problems? One creates a problem, the other 2 is natural. Yaad hai? I can only hear the sound of silence. Otherwise, there is a lot of noise.
Karmajam, Vrantijam, and one more.
Okay. First one is Sahajam. First one is Sahajam, natural. Natural is Adhyastam. Why? Wherever there is a mind, consciousness will be manifest there. Okay. This is Adhyasa. Okay. In the sense, a natural connection that is there. Because mind itself is a projection. Because the mind itself is a projection, wherever there is a mind or a thought, the consciousness will be manifest. Sahajam tadatmyam does not create a problem, it only elements the mind to be able to function. Then that mind's connection with this body is karmajam. That's also no big problem. You have to go through your karma, that's all. Something to be taken care of. It is the third tadatmyam, apparent identification, that causes all the problems. That is called Brantijam, born of Bhranti, error. A wrong conclusion that I am the mind. That wrong conclusion, I am the mind, is the source of the whole problem. Because then I am this much only. I am a finite entity, I have no choice then. The problems are real, I have a real problem, I have a real issue. In short, I have samsara. So all that Vedanta is doing is only removing your Brantijam Tadatmya. Because that's the one that's creating the problem. Sahajam is natural. If there is a mind, awareness will be manifest. No issue. Karmajam is also, if Brantijam is gone, Karmajam is also gone. Because that finite entity in whose account the karma is, he is gone. Only some prarabdha is left because this body has already come into existence. Therefore, prarabdham iha bunjiyatam. Take care of your prarabdha here. Go through it. Or sit down in samadhi and leave the body. Let prarabdha go to Ishvara. No problems either way. Either way, not an issue. Therefore, if Brantijam goes, all the problems are gone. And By knowledge only Bhranti can go. Because by knowledge only avidya can go, nothing else can go. Understand that? By knowledge only avidya can go, nothing else can go. But since the problems are created by avidya, everything goes. All the problems go. That there is a body or that there is a world is not the issue. That is sometimes certain practical things to be taken care of. And that can be taken care of. Bhrantijam, that is what creates the sense of isolation and finitude in me. The feeling of helplessness, etc., is because of Bhrantijam Tadatmya. That error that I am this much only. What I am associated with is me. Though never is that me. Even the association is not real. Even that association is not real. Why? Because Atma is real, the mind is not real. Just like saying my association with my shadow is very important for me. I am creating a company, Brahmavid and Associates. And who are the associates? My shadow. Ridiculous. Same way. Same way. That's all the association with the mind is. So where is the problem? The problem comes because with the mind we have to know. Since the problem is in the mind, the ignorance is in the mind, it is with that mind we have to know. It can't be just junked. Can't be just junked. Yeah. What is that? You can't just junk the mind. If you can't just junk, and nor is it meant to be junked. Why? Because you cannot really junk it. It's yours. It's there with you. As long as you have the notion, I am the body, mind, etc., how can you junk it? Stop your thinking. You will stop your thinking for some time. After some time, you will start thinking again. So, it is not junking the mind. It's only taking care of the ignorance that is there in the mind. And for that, you need the mind, all right. That's why all that refinement of the mind through Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, Mumukshatam, all that refinement has to be done because the mind has to know. And if the mind has to know, then it has to be refined. It has to be refined. You need to refine that mind. That's why we are in a peculiar situation in this. Why? The problems of the mind is solved by dismissing avidya. So in a way you are dismissing the mind. At the same time you are using the mind to do the same thing. At the same time you are using the mind to do the whole thing. Therefore it is like saying a mithya teaching is negating a mithya problem. Why? Because avidya created. Therefore mithya is good enough to negate avidya, because avidya is equally mithya. Because the knowledge, the teaching and avidya has the same degree of reality, one can negate the other. And as far as the Atma is concerned, I remain without any problems. Without any problems, I remain. I as consciousness remain. So that's the whole idea. Okay? Therefore, samsari iva lakshate. Samsarin iva lakshate. As though he is a samsaran, he is obvious. Then he is giving you something else. Yoga vasadyena mana nirvishesham krutam nirvritasya puman sadhyaha jivan muktaha bhavishyati. Yoga vashena with the abhyasa of yoga, Manaha nirvishesham kritam. When the mind has been taken care of, when been okay, completely freed from its issues, from its problem. Nivrittasya puman sadhyaha. Then that mind, who is now no more governed by concepts, etc. Jivan muktaha bhavishyati. He is a Jivan mukta. He is liberated by living itself. Therefore, when he says yoga abhyasena, yoga abhyasa vashat, what do you mean by yoga abhyasa here? Okay. What is meant by yoga abhyasa here? Remember, chitta vritti nirodha is what yoga is about. Therefore, mastery of the mind in a broader sense. That's what I was highlighting in the last verse also. That you need to refine that mind, you need to take care of the mind. Here, what is being meant, yoga abhyasa, is your contemplation, nididhyasana. Practice of nididhyasana. Why? I'll have to own up the truth. The truth that I have known may not flow through into my life. As Swami Chinmayanji used to say, what has gone in through the ears has to sink into the heart, otherwise it will leak through the mouth. Otherwise it will be the question of that beggar who became rich overnight. But don't feel rich. He is rich, all right. Forget the beggar. A lot of us who have been brought up in middle class societies, learning to be penny wise, count every coin before you spend it. Even after you gain money and you don't have to do that anymore, you will still go by that bad attitude, isn't it? Why? Because you don't feel you're rich. You're conditioned by habit. Nothing wrong in being frugal. Nothing wrong in being careful about how you spend your money. Nothing wrong in all that. You don't have to throw money around. I'm not saying no on that. But you don't have to feel poor. That's the idea. Okay? If you have that money, you don't have to feel poor. If you are feeling poor, you are not owned up your riches. Your old samskaras are having too much of a hold on you. Similarly, as a human being, lifetimes I have lived as a finite entity. Lifetimes I have lived like that. Since I lived lifetimes like that, and I gained this knowledge on the strength of the traditional teaching, I gained this. But my old thinkings continue. Responses, fear, reactivity, all that thing continues. Why? Samskara vashat, old habits, conditioned thinking, meat and potatoes thinking, dal chawal thinking, or curd rice thinking. That's a better example. If you understand South Indians, curd rice thinking is a very good thing. Because even if you have a 5-course meal, you won't feel you have eaten unless you have some curd and rice. You don't feel you have had lunch unless you have some curd and rice. It's a good habit to have some curds, okay? Health-wise. Good habit. But that feeling that unless you have had this, you had a 5-course meal, you have 7-course meal, a wedding feast, you have stuffed to the gills. You are completely fed up, okay? Put some curd rice. That's the thinking. You can't feel satisfied. The same way, we are creatures of habit. Same way. In spite of understanding that I am the consciousness which is the basis for everything, in spite of understanding that, I still go by my old conditioning, my old mental patterns of being finite, of being lonely, of wanting this and that to feel complete. I still go by that type of habits, habitual thinking. Habitual thinking. Therefore, yoga, abhyasa, balat, by contemplation, etc., I own up the truth. The more contemplation I do, the more I own it up. As I am listening itself, I can contemplate. Meaning, along with my study, I contemplate. And there is that yoga abhyasa is mentioned like that because there's also other part of it. Meditation which will prepare my mind. Yeah, preparatory meditations. Both has to be done. Both has to be done. That Sakshi Bhavam, etc., Japa Dhyanam, Sakshi Bhava, all that is preparatory meditation. Upasanas, etc., Manasa Puja, etc., all these are preparatory meditation. To see yourself free from hurt, pain, guilt, etc., preparatory, necessary to keep that mind fine. To release my mind from its old patterns, I prepare. Then, with that exposure to the teaching, I start contemplating on it. Contemplating on what I have learned in its essence, in its brevity. Not with the elaborateness of the whole thing, but in a very brief manner. We have seen that, we have done it here also. So, when we do that, the knowledge that is there, the insight that I have gained becomes a fact of my life. Therefore, yoga abhyasena, yoga abhyasa vashadyena, manaha nirvishayam kritam. Now, nirvishayam is not that the translation, if you look at it, you will say, mind is freed from all objects. Nirvishayam is not that. Nirvishayam is not that. Nirvishayam means free from all its patterns. So, a longing for certain things can be a pattern. You are Ananda, why are you longing for something? People are already making plans. Maximum the lockdown will be only up to end of this month. Maximum. As it is, there is too much of rumblings in the society to free itself. All over the world, people have started freeing themselves from the lockdown. Only Maharashtra government is a little scared because the cases are high, forgetting that's only in certain pockets. But whatever. People are already making plans. I will go here, I will do that. So that is the Vishayam we are talking about. Okay. Nirvishayam kritaha. Okay. You are longing for things. Yeah. You are longing for things. Why that longing? Because even though I know I am Ananda Swarupaha, not available for me in my functioning life, that Ananda is not available. Therefore, Yoga Abhyasam, contemplate. Yoga Abhyasam here mainly stands for contemplation. Okay? Not standing on your head. Standing on your head is useful for other things. Okay? Here, Yoga Abhyasa is in terms of contemplation. Yeah. Pranayama useful, especially nowadays with this thing, very useful. But here, contemplation. The more you contemplate, the more I contemplate, the more I own up the truth. In fact, that's why sannyasa is praised so much, because what is the sannyasi's life but contemplation on the truth? Whole life goes in contemplating on the truth only. It's like so when people ask me, Swamiji, what did you do? What did I do? My routine stuff. No, but what productive work? Says, I have been unemployed and unemployable for the last 30, 40 years. So what productive work? So generally, I don't say all this. I generally say, I read something and I thought about something and what else to tell them? Reading is contemplation, teaching is contemplation, because you have to see the truth before you unfold it. Reading is contemplation, teaching is contemplation. And when you are sitting quietly, what are you doing? Contemplating on the truth. Contemplating on the truth. Even when you are watching a movie, certain truths are not away from you. Even when you are watching it, you will see that. You will see the patterns of behavior. You will see you will see. Like yesterday, I saw a little bit of a movie. In bits and pieces, I saw this movie. I think over the last 4 or 5 days, I must have completed this movie. Started in the middle, then went here, then went there, this thing. Finally put it all together. Okay. So stupid, foolish movie, Escape from LA. Some of you may have seen it. So what is the great thing in that movie? Great thing? Those who attended my camp, I said, I win, you lose is aggressive. I lose, you win is passive. I lose, you lose is destructive. I win, you win is the right thinking to have. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, etc. That's based on win-win thinking. But this movie was highlighting that there are some cases where lose thinking. You lose, I lose. All of us lose. Has its place. I said, interesting. Interesting. It's highlighting an interesting point. Yeah. Because in my workshops also I say that lose thinking has a very limited objective and as a limited thing, it is useful. The movie highlighted. So even when you are watching a movie, contemplation is not on certain things like this will be there. You'll be seeing patterns of behavior, patterns of thinking, and to see that you are free from all these patterns. Why? You are the pure consciousness. That's called contemplative life in modern situations. Yeah. In ancient world, it was different. You'll go on a yatra. The yatra is also contemplation only. Yeah. For a change. You go. केदारनाथ जाके आ जाएगा. केदार बाबा जी का दर्शन करके आ जाएगा इधर से. Those days when Rishikesh to go to Kedar ji and come back will take you almost a month because you are walking up and down. Old pilgrim route. You'll walk. What are you doing? Contemplating only. और क्या करता है? When a sadhu walks, he is a contemplative walk. It's not a slow tai chi walk, no. It's a normal walk, but you are contemplating. When you see out there all the nature, it's contemplating. When you see a concrete jungle in the city, that's also you can be contemplating. Therefore, to contemplate on the truth is what it is meant to be. Yoga abhyasa. Now, you may not be able to do that much of contemplation as a sannyasi can do because you have other responsibilities, etc. But to make it a little bit a part of your regular life is important. At this level, in fact, I can say I'll insist on that. Do some nididhyasanam regularly. Because look at how far have we come. You all came to me with the Gita, isn't it? More than 10 years ago. 12 years ago. 2007, 2008, something like that. Right? If I remember? Isn't that when we started the class? Yaad hai? Yeah. So from there we did the whole Gita. We did some Prakarana Granthas in between. We did the Upanishads. We did the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Chatusutri, and we saw topic-wise quite a good bit of the Brahma Sutras. Then we are seeing the Dakshinamurti with Manasollasa commentary. High time that contemplation became part of your regular life. That Nididhyasanam for a few minutes whenever you have the time. Morning, afternoon, evening, whenever. There is no fixed time for Nididhyasanam. Any time is good enough. Any time that you are alert and your mind can contemplate, that's the right time. Make it a part of your life. Otherwise, क्या सुन के जाएगा क्या? How many years? How many years? You're going to go on listening and say, oh, very nice, very nice. Very nice, make it a part of your life. Own up that knowledge now, high time. Own up that knowledge. Therefore, he says, Yoga Vashat, Yoga Abhyasa, Vashadena, Manaha Nirvishayam Kritam. Mind is free from all his issues. Nivrittasya Puman Sadhyaha, Jivan Mukto Bhavishyati. Jivan eva muktaha, Jivan muktaha. Living you are liberated. You don't have to wait because why is this term used? This term is used because moksha is indicated as freedom from birth and death. So freedom from birth and death has to happen after death only, no? After the body falls, you're free. You remain as consciousness. He says Jivaneva Muktaha. Even living you are free because you are never bound. The knowledge is telling you are never bound. So if you are never bound, you can be free whenever you are, at any time. Therefore, you can live in this freedom. Jivan Mukta is a person who lives in this freedom. A great way to live. In fact, the only way to live. How else can you live? How can you live in bondage? Come on, that's pathetic. To live in bondage is pathetic. To live in freedom is the right thing to do. Therefore, that living in freedom is called Jivan Mukti Avastaha. It's beautiful. Yeah. It is dealing with the world without a sense of finitude. Dealing with the world without great longings, etc. Dealing with the world, knowing your Ananda, whether the world is going through happy or sorrowful circumstances. It is dealing with all the problems of life, knowing you are free from all the issues. What else you want to do? What other way do you want to live? This is the only way to live, actually speaking. Okay? Therefore, Jivan Muktaha Bhavishyati. He is a Jivan Mukta in this lifetime itself. He is free in this lifetime itself. Okay. Now don't ask me how do I know I am a Jivan Mukta, etc. You have been given enough descriptions of a wise person in the Gita. Refer to that, okay? That's for self-evaluation. Are you like that? Are you living in freedom? You will know. Any questions or clear? Clear, okay. And just go ahead.
Swamiji, I had this one question. You explained this Sahajam Tadatmya.
Yeah. Last time also I had explained, yeah.
That is,
Yeah?
I'm not very clear on that.
Okay. See, wherever there is a mind, will consciousness not be manifest there?
Yes.
So, wherever the consciousness is manifest in a very natural manner, that is called Sahajam. Sahajam means natural, no? That's
Yes.
called Sahajam Tadatmya.
Okay.
So, wherever the mind is floating around, it is floating around in consciousness alone. Therefore, consciousness will be manifest in that mind, Sahajam. Then
So
that,
you,
huh?
no. Yes, Swamiji, I'm listening.
Yeah. Then that mind is associated with this body, right? Why is it associated with this body? Because of previous karma. Karma that the mind has done, that the ahankara in the mind has done. Therefore,
Okay.
this association of the mind with this body, Atma manifests in the mind is Sahajam. Mind with this body is called Karmajam,
Okay.
born of karma. Taking this body and this mind to be me is called Brantijam.
Okay.
So the Brantijam is the one that is problem. Bhranti meaning error, erroneous thinking, deluded thinking. Sahajam is between consciousness and mind. Wherever the mind goes, consciousness will be there, manifest there. That mind associated with this body is because of karma. Not a big issue. Brantijam creates that issue because this body and this mind is me, nothing more. Consciousness forgotten. Consciousness not known. Therefore, what you see is what you get. Therefore, all the problems, etc., are mind. Therefore, the Brantijam creates the problem. The Brantijam has to be removed. Clear?
Yes, Swami. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then, to indicate that you are free at all the times, you are never bound, he is giving you, he is quoting the Upanishad. Okay. The statement comes in two Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad and Yajnavalkya Upanishad. So both he is quoting here. Both are there, similar verses are there in both. द्वासपूर्णौ स सयुजा भावन् मायया शिवः अजम् एकं जुषन्नेकः नाना एवासदीति श्रुतिः. He said, द्वासुपर्णौ, two birds. Okay. Ch sayuja abhavan. Two birds always associated with each other. Okay. There is a sahaja tadatmya. The I pure consciousness, Shiva, that he says here, and the consciousness manifests in the mind. Two. Ajam eka. Okay, Ajam eka. One is unborn, non-acting, etc. In Mundaka it says, the anyaha pipalam swadu ati. The other goes about enjoying the fruits, karma phala, etc. Here he says, Jushan eka nana eva asiditi titi asiditi. Says, the one that becomes the many is appearing as a many, or is dealing with the many things, is always clinging on to the original one, he says. It's always clinging to the one who does not do anything. Why? Because Atma, I consciousness is independent. The manifestation is dependent on me. Therefore, clinging on to me, the expression is used, clinging on to me. Not literally clinging, not to be taken literally. Therefore, the manifestation is dependent on me. I am independent of the manifestation. Therefore, even when I am going through all life's experiences, I am really speaking the witness, the consciousness that doesn't undergo any change. The manifested consciousness, the apparent entity called Jiva and then Ahankara, who has their conclusion, goes about doing all these things. Therefore, what is Bhrantijam Tadatmyam? Taking the Ahankara as me. Taking the manifestation as me, and in the process, not knowing the unmanifested consciousness that I really am. The pure consciousness that I really am, I am missing it out. I am taking the manifestation as myself. Though really speaking, even through this whole experience of life, I am that pure consciousness, enjoying the manifestation, doing what it is. Therefore, even through all the problems, even in Ajnana Dasha, when I am in a state of pure ignorance about everything, I am really speaking free from both. This point is easy to understand, that you are free, complete Ananda without changing a thing in your life. If you change, nothing in your life also. You are nothing but Ananda. This is a fact. This is a fact. Then why do we say you have to change this, you have to change that, you have to change that? Just because your mind has to become mature enough to know it, ready enough to know it. That spiritual maturity your mind needs to gain. Therefore, the mind needs to be worked on. The mind is not worked upon to create a freedom in you, because the freedom doesn't have to be created. The Ananda is not born of an attitude. An attitude quietens your mind enough to be able to appreciate the fact of what you are, to appreciate the teaching that reveals what you are. Therefore, all the work on the mind is only for that. Not necessary, really speaking. If your mind is what the original mind was, where is the problem? This is my mind. Mind is meant for thinking, feeling, etc. My mind can think and feel. It thinks clearly, it feels deeply, and it can act decisively, take decisions. If that is all the mind is, then teaching is very simple. You just simple teaching is enough. You will understand the truth. You don't have to do anything. But vasana vasha, that's where that term comes. I have picked up all types of samskaras and conditionings over the years. Over the years, I have picked up all sorts of nonsense in my mind. All sorts of stuff I put into the mind. Hurt, pain, guilt, anger, unresolved anger, unresolved grief, unresolved issues. So much of complexity I have created in my mind that to appreciate the truth, now I have to work on that mind first. Previously, I can say for want of teaching, I did not know the truth. But in spite of knowing, why am I not knowing the truth? In spite of teaching being available, how come I am not knowing? No, not that I don't know. I got insights. Correct. Why is it not becoming a fact of my life? Simple. So the mind, etc., is to be taken care of only so that the truth can be appreciated. It's very strange. As Viveka Vairagya grows in you, you will find the text having a far deeper meaning than when the first time you heard it. I had students coming and tell me, Swamiji, doesn't this text mean this? I said, yeah, I remember mentioning it in the class. I remember I said that in the class. Swamiji, it has become clear only now. So you heard it then, but it didn't become clear. Or you didn't hear it because the mind was gone. Two things. Either the mind was so disturbed that you didn't hear it only. You are sitting in the class, but mind is gone somewhere. Or you heard it but didn't understand it, missed it. Why? Not enough Viveka, Vairagya, Samadama, etc. Not enough. Therefore, it was not clear to you then. Then it became clear later on as you started developing more Viveka, more Vairagya, etc. Or because I keep on drumming, keep on repeating, keep on drumming the same thing over and over and again. One of the three things, okay. Yeah, one of the three things. Yeah, it becomes clearer. Natural for things to become clearer. Because that's how the whole game is. That's how the whole game is. Things will become clearer in time. Because you grow in time. Your Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, etc. grows in time. Even your commitment to moksha grows in time. Everyone doesn't come, then I want moksha. Many come out of curiosity. I know a handful who come only to time pass. Or to feel good. Acha activity kar raha hai. He's doing good now. That's okay to start with. That's fine. No problems about it. It's good to start with all that thing. Starting point can be anything. Ending point has to be moksha. That's the thing. Ending point has to be complete rootedness in this knowledge. As long as that goal is kept, everything will fall into place. Therefore, all the thing that you need to work on the mind is only for this. Because through the mind, manasa eva anudrushtavyam, yan manasa na manute, that which cannot be thought of by the mind has to be known by the mind alone. There is no other choice. There is no other way of doing it. Therefore, he says, even when you are in bondage, you are really speaking free. Now, look at it. If you are looking at this whole chapter, okay, the simple chapter, okay, the 8th verse, okay, what is he talking about? The independent nature of the Atma and the mithya nature of everything that you are doing in life. Everything that you are doing. How the whole thing is mithya is what he is highlighting. And it's important to understand that. Because if mithyatvam of the Jagat is not understood, the fact Aham Satyam will not be very clear. Therefore, this whole verse, 8th verse and the Manasollasa of about 28 verses highlighting that, explaining that, is all talking about the mithya nature of your relationships the mithya nature of what you are doing, the mithya nature of the world. See, it's easy to say, oh yeah, the world is mithya, I understand. Rope snake, golden ornaments, yeah, that's all fine. What about your life? Yeah. What about your relationship? Corona time, I'm scared of my parents. Yeah, understandable. Can you see that the whole thing, the fear, etc., everything is mithya? Everything is real, everything is mithya except my fear. The love that you feel is great, but mithya is great. Enjoy the thing. Enjoy that love when it is there. Yeah. It's always great to find love. Enjoy it. But Swamiji, too much of heartache because of love. What heartache? Enjoy. That's also mithya. Enjoy it. If you are Ananda, there is no heartache. There is only love. Yeah. See the whole thing as mithya. Your relationship is mithya, not true. You are the truth in the relationship. Everything else is not true. Everything else is notional anyway. Your possessions, the house that you keep so beautiful that even without maid, etc., you are struggling to keep it right tip top. Unlike me. Can you see it's a mithya apparent, born of Maya? People spend more time taking care of their houses than taking care of their bodies. Their houses are in better condition than their bodies. Body is not fit. House is great. What about the house that you are living in? The body. What about the mind? Thank God you don't have to do anything about the other. It's Ananda Swarupa. No issues. No issues. Everything else is an apparent reality. And the more you understand the apparent nature of the world, the more you understand that, the clearer will be your reality. That a lot of this that's happening, your perceptions functioning out. If you want to see how perceptions are making up the world, all you have to go and see a TV debate that's happening. Watch what's happening, the discussion happening, how the polarity of stands are happening. Perceptions at work. Perceptions. One character is great physical policy, etc. So many lakh crores are available, etc. for the poor. This, that, great policy. Support empowerment. Another character, but no money is given. Yeah, every person with a Dhan Aadhar account has received money. No, they should have been given cash in hand, this, that, etc. Another perception. Nobody cares about the poor. One perception. Another perception, well, Aim for Seva is doing a lot of it. So many immigrants walking, etc., they won't stop walking. You can't make them stop. So we are giving food, clothing, shelter, footwear, all that we give. Nobody is taking care of the poor. Who's saying nobody is taking care of the poor? Someone sitting in his armchair in comfort of a air-conditioned room. Why doesn't he go out and do something about it? Perceptions at work. Both sides. It's only perceptions at work. Understand this. Cases are rising in Bombay. How can you... Another guy who turns around and says, but 80% is non-symptomatic. Nothing to be worried about for 80%. It is not yet peaked, it is going to peak. We need to get more hospital beds. Okay. You won't need those hospital beds because 80% is non-symptomatic. Only 20% is. So that's all you have to target. Another perception. Who is true? Who is right? Let us speak to the experts in pandemic. Nobody has living memory of any pandemic that has happened before. The last one was 100 years ago. They have some experience in some epidemics. I read an article written by a friend of mine actually. Not very few committees of the government have a pandemic expert in it. I said all pandemic experts are not there. They just studied, recorded history of a pandemic and they consider themselves as experts. And the socio-economic conditions of 100 years ago and today is not the same. Therefore all their learning etc. has hardly any meaning. So very little value. Two perceptions which are you going to take as serious? As perceptions, both have some truth in it. But that's all. It's a democratic government. People should have been consulted before taking all these decisions. It's an emergency situation where you need authoritative leadership. Which is right. There is only relative right. Yes, I also like to take democratic situations in most places. But if your house in fire, I'm not going to come and ask you, what are you feeling? What do you think we should do? I'll just give a whack on you and say, get out of that bedroom. It's situation based. Why? Because the whole thing is mithya. You can drop one style, adopt another style. There is no permanent style of leadership that is good at all times, at all places. Why? Because the whole thing is mithya. Leadership is mithya. Dealing with the problem is mithya. So you juggle around and do what is necessary for at that time. That is all. No, this is the principles which govern us. Nonsense. Because it's taken as too serious. Taken too serious. Swamiji, you can say all that. I have worked for the WHO. I am an expert in this. Yeah. I remember seeing your reaction. What do you mean seeing my reaction? Oh, you remember years ago we went to Gomukh? Yes. And because you were in WHO, you heard of one case of plague in one village. And that village was not on our route. It was about 20 miles away from our route. We are not going within 20 miles of that one case of plague. And what was your reaction? You stocked up with plague medication. You insisted I also stock up. That is called panic reaction. One case does not make up an epidemic. One case is one case. Occasionally it will happen. In Bombay it happens. So you are saying you are working, you got to experience, but I see only panic reactions in you. Yeah, because there is a group taking some medicines is nice. That's all. Nothing more than that. Therefore, what I am trying to show is how perception governs your function. And perceptions are not reality. Multiple perception shows that there is not the reality. Your whole world is like this. So see the mithyatvam of the world. So you have to deal with it, but see the mithyatvam of it. Of course you have to deal with it. But see the mithyatvam. Then you will not be having that burning inside. Otherwise, just because a government or a person, whether it is a government at the central level or a person in your family, is not doing what you think is right, you're all worked up. And remember, the more worked up you are getting, the more powerless you are. In fact, you are getting worked up because of your powerlessness. You can't influence anything, you can't do anything. You are not wanted. Your opinion doesn't matter. Therefore, you will work yourself up. Is it worth it? Mithyatvam. See the mithyatvam of the thing. That all this is purely mithya. You can have strong opinions. Yeah, of course you can have. It's a mithya opinion, alright? Can you say that I have a strong opinion about things but it is mithya? Very strong mithya, okay? Then you will find you are living in greater freedom. Right? You can go do certain thing, you can change your thinking if fact present themselves like that. If the data, not one fact, if the data presents itself like that, and you want to change, you are welcome to change. You are okay admitting that it needs to be changed. You are not holding on to something outdated. You are going by what is the right thing to do in a given situation, according to your perception again. And as I said, if data presents itself, you are willing to change that perception because you know the whole mithyatvam of the whole thing, not an issue. If you have the vision of the whole, not an issue at all. Otherwise, it becomes stands that you take which are corrosive to yourself, not to anybody else. Not to anybody else. Why? They don't care about your opinion. You are not important enough. That's why you are feeling powerless. I am saying all this. You think the world is going to listen to me? You think everyone who listens to this video will take my opinion seriously? I have no illusions about it. Some may be seeing it out of curiosity. Some may take it seriously. Who wants to study, etc., will take it seriously. It is meant for them. That's all. When you see this mithyatvam more clearly, you will find life is simple. And the understanding the truth has got a depth about it. And you are living in freedom. Jivan muktaha bhavishyati, he says. Then in the concluding verse he says, Iti Shri Dakshina Murtihi Surtartha Pratipadike Prabande Manaso Lasaha Ashtamo Lasa Sangraha. Iti thus, see Dakshina Murti Surtartha Pratipadike in the Artha Pratipadanam, in explaining the meaning of the Dakshina Murti Sutram, in the work called Manaso Lasaha, Ashtama Ullasa Sangraha. The Sangraha, the group, are covering the 8th verse we have seen. So, any questions, any clarifications, or is it all clear?
Swamiji?
Yeah?
Swamiji?
Yeah, shoot.
Jushan means what, Swamiji?
Huh?
Singing. Jushan.
What is the word?
Jushan.
There.
Aja mekam Jushan nekoha.
Which verse?
Last 27th verse.
Jushan nekaha. Attached to the other, clinging on to the other.
Okay.
Yeah. Clinging, yeah. Any other questions or clarifications? Well, if it is not there, a good place to stop. We will start the 9th verse next class. Om Tat Sat.